All right, everyone. Welcome to another deep dive here at Grow to the Top. This time we're looking at something that could really level up your life. Master your week. Plan. Execute. Achieve.
Ooh, that sounds intense.
It is, but in a good way. You know, it's our own Grow to the Top YouTube channel that published this audiobook.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really jam-packed with practical strategies for squeezing every ounce of productivity out of your week. No more wasted time.
That's what we like to hear.
Exactly. And speaking of squeezing the most out of things, before we dive in, did you know there's a free bundle you can download?
A free bundle? Tell me more.
Well, it's got an ebook and a really great executive summary with study notes and key takeaways from each chapter.
Seriously, that's awesome.
Yeah, we've got you covered. Just look for the link right in the video description. You'll see it right below this episode.
Sweet, and I bet the second link goes right to the audiobook.
You know it. Okay, so back to master your week.
Yeah.
You know, I'll admit, I'm always a little skeptical when I see these things that promise to make me a productivity ninja.
I get it. It can sound a little too good to be true. But this one, the way they break things down makes it feel actually doable.
Totally. It just feels so refreshing, you know?
I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, so chapter 1, setting the stage.
Love that title.
Right. I love how Tyler Andrew Cole, he really emphasizes that this isn't just about decluttering your desk or whatever.
There's got to be more than that.
It totally is. It's about setting up your mindset and environment in a way that helps you succeed.
Makes sense. And that's where the whole idea of a proactive mindset comes in, right? It's not about ignoring challenges or anything.
Oh, no. Definitely not.
It's about seeing obstacles as opportunities and really, truly taking control of how you respond to different situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that could be so hard sometimes. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in this feeling like things are happening to us.
What's the worst?
I know, but that shift in perspective is like everything. And it's not just about mindset though, is it?
Definitely not. The book goes into all sorts of stuff about optimizing our digital spaces too.
Yeah. Makes you think.
Right. Like how can we be more mindful of all those notifications and streamline those digital workflows?
Oh, and choose tools that actually help us focus instead of becoming distractions themselves.
That's such a good point.
It really is like decluttering your workspace, but for your whole online life.
Which, let's be honest, most of us could use a little bit of. I know I spend way too much time battling digital clutter.
Me too. Yeah. It's such a drain on your energy and focus.
A silent productivity killer.
Yeah.
But once you've got the right mindset, the right environment in place,
right.
What's next?
Well, the next logical step is getting clear on your goals. That's what chapter 2 is all about. Align your goals.
All right, goals. Let's do this. You know, I think this book is amazing for people who already know about those goal setting frameworks, like, you know, SMART goals.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It goes beyond just defining those goals. It's about aligning them across different time frames.
So like making them work together.
Exactly. It's connecting the dots between your big 5-year plan.
The big picture.
Yeah. And what you're actually doing, you know, today, this week.
Love that.
And you know what else I love? The book has this goal breakdown chart. Super helpful for visually mapping out how big goals turn into smaller action steps.
That's so important. I'm very visual. So for me, just writing a goal down doesn't quite do it.
Same here. But when you can see it broken down like that, it feels so much more achievable.
100%. So you've got your goals all laid out. And then what? How do we actually prioritize all those tasks?
That's where chapter 3 comes in. Prioritize tasks.
Oh, yes. The never-ending struggle.
I know, right? But this chapter tackles that dreaded importance versus urgency trap.
Don't get me started. I am the queen of getting caught up in things that feel urgent.
But aren't actually important.
Exactly. Those big, impactful projects just sit there on my to-do list.
Yeah.
I know it's not really moving me toward my goals.
It's such a common track, though.
It is. But the book talks about something called the Eisenhower Matrix. Sounds pretty serious.
It kind of is. It's this awesome tool for categorizing tasks based on importance and urgency, you know, so you can focus your energy where it matters most.
Okay, remind me how that works. I feel like I need a visual for this one.
Think of a simple grid, 4 quadrants.
Okay.
You've got urgent and important. Not urgent, but important. Urgent, but not important. And neither urgent nor important.
I'm starting to see it now.
Right. So the magic is when you start putting your tasks into those different categories.
So I shouldn't be trying to cram everything into urgent and important.
No, not at all. You actually want to minimize the number of tasks that end up there. Because constantly operating in crisis mode, that's not sustainable.
That's so true.
The real sweet spot, the not urgent but important, quadrant.
Oh, those are the ones that align with my long-term goals but don't have like a crazy deadline?
Exactly. It's about being proactive, not reactive. You work on those high-impact tasks before they become those urgent fires you have to put out.
Okay, I love that. Working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. And the book goes even further and connects this to the Pareto principle.
Oh, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Always blows my mind.
Right. So the idea is 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. So what does the book say? It encourages us to figure out those vital few tasks within that 20% and, really prioritize them ruthlessly.
I need to get better at that. It's not just about doing a lot. It's about doing the right things.
Yeah.
So let's say we've identified those key tasks. How do we make sure we actually get them done?
That's where chapter 4 comes in. Time blocking.
Time blocking. All right, tell me everything.
So time blocking is all about assigning specific blocks of time for different tasks on your schedule.
So it's like creating a little roadmap for your day. Make sure you're dedicating time to those important things.
Exactly. So you don't just get swept away by all those urgent things.
I've tried time blocking before, but I always get a little intimidated by having such a rigid schedule.
Oh, I feel you. But that's the beauty of it. This book advocates for flexible time blocking.
Well, thank goodness. Because real life happens.
Exactly. You build in some buffer time, for those unexpected things that come up. You leave space to adjust your schedule and just acknowledge that, sometimes life throws you a curveball.
Okay, that makes me feel so much better. I think I can get behind that. So it's about having a framework, but also, allowing yourself to adapt.
Right. And that's where the power of combining time blocking with another technique the book covers comes in. It's called task batching.
Task batching. Okay. This sounds intriguing. I'm always looking for ways to streamline my workflow.
Me too. So task batching is basically about grouping similar tasks together. It minimizes all those mental gear shifts we do when we switch between different types of work.
I feel that.
Right. It's so draining. The book calls this the cognitive switching penalty. And trust me, it's a real productivity killer.
Cognitive switching penalty. I love that. It perfectly describes that feeling of mental exhaustion you get from constantly switching gears all day long.
Yes. So instead of, jumping back and forth between emails, phone calls, writing, admin tasks, you dedicate focused blocks of time to each activity.
Okay, so you might have an hour for emails, then an hour for calls.
Get it.
You got it. And it really helps you get into a groove and work more efficiently.
That makes a lot of sense. But does this only apply to those routine tasks? What about those creative or strategic things that need a little more mental space and flexibility?
That's a great question. And actually, the book says batching can be super beneficial for those types of tasks too. If you need to do a lot of writing.
I do a lot of writing.
Well, instead of trying to squeeze it in here and there, why not dedicate a whole morning to writing and editing?
I like that idea. It's almost like giving yourself permission to fully immerse yourself in that creative process, knowing you won't be interrupted.
That's the key. No distractions. Speaking of which, we've talked a lot about time management, but what about managing our energy? Oh, energy management. That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything and forget to, take care of ourselves.
For sure. And that's where chapter 6 blew my mind. Energy management.
Really? Tell me more.
This chapter talks about the fact that, we all have these natural energy peaks and valleys throughout the day.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But instead of fighting those rhythms, we can use them strategically.
How do we do that? I'm really curious now.
The book suggests doing something called an energy audit. Sounds official.
Okay, I like it already.
It's where you track your energy levels throughout the week. You're basically becoming a scientist of your own productivity.
Our productivity scientist. I'm into it.
Right. So once you've got that data, you can start scheduling those demanding tasks during your high energy periods and save the easier stuff for those natural dips.
That is brilliant. It's all about working with your natural rhythms, not against them. I love it. It takes the pressure off trying to be on all the time.
Totally. Embrace the ebbs and flows. It's a much kinder approach to productivity. It's not kind, though.
What's that?
Distractions. They are everywhere. And chapter 7, Eliminate Distractions, is all about tackling them head on.
Yes. Please tell me there's a solution, because distractions are the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
It's like a constant battle against notifications, emails, and my own mind.
Oh, I hear you. We've all been there. But you know what I found fascinating in this chapter? This concept of attention residue.
Attention residue? What's that?
So basically, every time we get distracted, a little bit of our attention stays stuck on that previous task or thought. It creates this invisible drag on our mind.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. It's not just about the time we lose when we get distracted. Yeah. It's the mental energy it takes to refocus.
Exactly. It's like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. So heavy. So what can we do about it? The book suggests creating boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay, I like that.
Right. And they can be both external and internal. Externally, think about creating a distraction-free workspace.
Turn off those notifications.
Yes. And don't be afraid to set boundaries with others about when you're available and when you need focus time.
That's so important. Sometimes the people around us can be the biggest distraction.
It's true. But it's not just about the external stuff. Internally, we need to cultivate mindfulness. Gently guide our attention back to the task at hand when those thoughts start to wander.
That's where things get really tricky for me. It's like sometimes the biggest distractions aren't my phone or my emails.
It's our own minds.
Exactly. So it's not just about hacking our external environment. We need to cultivate a calmer, more focused internal state as well. Easier said than done sometimes.
It definitely takes practice, but it's so worth it. Okay, ready for the next chapter? This one is often overlooked, but it's where the real magic happens.
Oh, tell me more. What's the secret sauce?
It's Chapter 8, Weekly Reflection.
Weekly reflection. I know I should be doing it more, but honestly, sometimes it feels like just one more thing to add to my to-do list.
I get it. It can feel like a luxury when you're just trying to make it through the week. But honestly, taking that time to pause and honestly assess what worked, what didn't, and what you learned, that's crucial for growth.
You've got a point.
Yeah.
It's tempting to just keep going and never really stop to look back.
Right. But think about it as a weekly debrief with yourself. Did you hit your goals? Why or why not? What worked well? What got in the way? And most importantly, what can you take away from this week to make next week even better?
This reminds me of that quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
That's exactly it. If we're not taking the time to reflect and adjust our approach, we're just going to keep repeating the same patterns.
Oh, that's a good point. So how do we make sure that we're not just going through the motions? How do we turn those insights into action?
That's where we move into Chapter 9, Sustaining Momentum. This is where we go beyond those initial bursts of motivation and start building habits that stick.
This is what I always struggle with. I can get super motivated to try something new, but then a few weeks later, poof, I'm back to my old ways.
It happens to the best of us. But this chapter really dives into the science of habit formation, specifically this thing called the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward.
Okay, break that down for me. How does that apply to building better productivity habits?
Okay, so let's say your goal is to make weekly reflection a consistent habit, right? The cue could be something like finishing your work for the week on Friday afternoon. The routine would be carving out, say, 30 minutes to reflect on your week. And the reward, well, that could be the feeling of clarity and accomplishment you get from that dedicated reflection time.
I'm seeing it now.
Or, hey, maybe you treat yourself to something you enjoy after you do your reflection. Make it a little celebration.
Ooh, I like that. A little reward system. So it's about being really intentional about the cues, the routines, and the rewards.
Yeah.
We're basically hacking our brains to make those positive actions more automatic.
You got it. And one thing the book really emphasizes is that intrinsic motivation is key for long-term success.
Intrinsic motivation, for the motivation that comes from within.
Exactly. Those internal rewards, like the sense of accomplishment, the pride in your work, the joy of hitting your goals, those are so much more powerful than any external reward.
That resonates with me. It's about finding that internal drive that keeps you going, even when the initial excitement fades. And that's tough sometimes. There are always setbacks.
It's true, but it's so important to remember that those setbacks and those plateaus, they're all a normal part of the process.
So we shouldn't beat ourselves up when we don't get it perfect.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection. And those challenges, well, they're actually opportunities to learn, adjust, and refine your approach. It's a journey, not a destination.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you think our listeners will be able to achieve if they really embrace these strategies? What's possible when we truly master our week?
I think the possibilities are truly endless. Imagine hitting your goals consistently, tackling those big projects that felt overwhelming before.
Getting back in control of your time and energy.
Exactly. It's about creating a life where you feel productive, fulfilled, and in control. Who wouldn't want that?
Sign me up. And that's really what we're all about here at Grow to the Top, right? Helping our community achieve their fullest potential.
Absolutely. While the book focuses on mastering the week, it got me thinking, What about mastering our days?
Ooh, interesting. Applying these same principles to those smaller 24-hour chunks.
Imagine taking those principles of planning and prioritizing and energy management and zooming in on those 24-hour blocks.
Okay, I'm listening. A master your day plan. I like it.
Right. What would it look like for you? What could you create?
Well, first of all, I'd want a morning routine that sets me up for success, like a power-up sequence.
Yes. And then structuring your workday around your peak energy periods, that's huge.
Totally. And evenings. It's dedicated to recharging and reflecting. No more burnout.
I love that vision. And the key here is to approach it as an experiment.
Oh, that takes the pressure off.
Right. Try different things, see what works, what doesn't. Be open to tweaking things as you go.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to this stuff, right?
Exactly. But the principles we've been talking about today, they give you a really solid framework to start with. You can build a more productive, more fulfilling day.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'd love to hear from our listeners on this. Have you guys experimented with mastering your day? What strategies have worked for you? What are your biggest challenges?
Yeah, let's hear it. Share your thoughts, your experiences in the comments. We love learning from our amazing Grow to the Top community.
We really do. We're all on this journey together. And speaking of journeys and valuable resources, don't forget to grab that free bundle we mentioned.
Oh yeah, it's packed with an ebook, an executive summary, and study notes for each chapter.
You can find the link in the video description right below this episode.
It's an awesome way to go even deeper into Master Your Week.
And while you're down there, that second link, that'll take you straight to the audiobook. Definitely check it out. It's chock full of practical advice and actionable strategies that can really transform the way you approach productivity.
It's not just about getting more done. It's about feeling in control of your time, your energy, your focus, so you can really pursue your goals with a lot more clarity and intention.
So well said. And with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Master Your Week. We hope you found it valuable and inspiring.
We're so glad to have you here with us on the Grow to the Top journey.
And remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Keep experimenting, keep learning, keep growing.
And keep growing to the top.